Hello there. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome for the first time. Thanks for being here. And like I have started to say, if you like the videos, hit that there subscribe button. Great. Or let me switch that around. Hit that there like button. There you go. But if you want to see more videos, then hit the subscribe button. There you go. So I've been thinking a lot about happiness and where it comes from, because that seems to be something all of us are looking for. We're always looking for some way to be happy. Now, in the scriptures, it talks about how wickedness never was happiness. And that's a pretty bold claim. That's an interesting thing to say, because look at a lot of these people out in the world, these people who would be considered wicked. They have a lot. There's people who are rich. There are people who have fame and influence. There are people who have more friends than they have time to spend with. There's people that have a lot out there, and lots of these people look very happy. But here are the scriptures saying wickedness never was happiness. So what's going on here? Are you telling me those people actually are not happy despite all that they have? Huh, interesting claim. If you asked me, I would say 100%. Those people are not happy. And I'll tell you why I say this. There is a big difference between pleasure and happiness. Pleasure is a counterfeit for happiness, and it looks a lot like happiness. It really does. When you have pleasure, you seem to be happy. But here's the thing about pleasure. One, it's a fleeting thing. It does not last. Pleasure does not last. Another thing is, once that pleasure passes, you're feeling just as empty, just as lonely, just as unhappy as ever. It really doesn't change anything. It's just a momentary counterfeit for happiness. And that is Satan's ball game. That is where he plays. The devil will give you all the pleasure in this world. If you turn away from God and go follow Satan, he'll give you pleasure all the time. He loves to give pleasure. And that's the thing. Sin isn't tempting because it doesn't do anything for us. We wouldn't be tempted to sin if there was no benefit, but there's pleasure. That counterfeit for happiness, that pleasure is there. And that looks a lot like happiness. So that's why I say these people, even though they look happy at times, they're not actually happy. They're just filling those momentary times of pleasure, but those pass. And if you really pay attention, if you really look at all of these people, look at those who are wicked, even the ones who have wealth, have fame, have fortunes, dream jobs, all those things. Look at them and you'll notice after a while that they're always looking for something. They're always looking for something, but they can't find it. They're always trying to be happy, but it always slips through their fingers at one point or another. And that's because what the scriptures say is true. Wickedness never was happiness. It really is not. It is not happiness. Happiness comes from God and from serving God. That's how it is. It's just a fact. But even though it's kind of a fact, that's how it is, I found myself wondering why. It's like, okay, why can't a wicked person be truly happy? What's going on here? And I came to realize that it comes down to sin. It all comes down to sin. Because when we sin, it does something. It separates us from God. That's what it does. Sin puts a wall, a barrier in between us and God. It separates us. And as we are separated from God, happiness that comes from God, that's being cut off with that barrier. And I've felt this. I have felt this very personally. The more I grow closer to God, the more I feel that separation and lack of happiness when I sin. To the point where it's almost become painful to sin. Now, that doesn't mean I don't sin. I still do. But I feel that separation very, very clearly, very, very distinctly. And as I said, it's almost painful because I've realized that when I sin, when I separate myself from God, I start to feel more lonely. I start to feel sad. I start to feel unworthy. I feel all of these things and they hurt. I mean, I'm sure you've felt in your life, you felt depression, you felt anxiety, you felt unworthiness, you felt lonely. You've felt all of these things. And that in a big way is because of sin. The majority of the time, the reasons we feel those things is because of sin. When we sin, we feel that unhappiness. We might be able to feel pleasure here and there, have those momentary hits of pleasure that look like and feel a lot like happiness for a moment, but they don't last. So I guess what I'm saying here is take a look at yourself. Take a look at your life. Are you actually happy? Or are you just feeling momentary hits of pleasure? Are you like a drug addict going and looking for that next hit of pleasure? Or are you actually happy? If you're not following God, I'm going to say point blank, you're not happy. You're not. You do not have true lasting happiness if you are not following God. Period. That's the fact of the matter. So I would plead with you, if you actually want to be happy, if you don't want to feel the negative effects, the loneliness, the abandonment, the unworthiness, the just unfulfilled emptiness, if you don't want to feel that, turn away from your sins. That's the only thing that's going to fix it. That is the only thing that's going to fix it. You need to turn away from your sins and turn to Christ. Start following Christ, and you will begin to find that true happiness you've been looking for. You'll begin to find that purpose you've been looking for. You will stop feeling so alone in this world if you follow Christ more fully than you are right now. Wherever you are right now, follow Him more fully, and you will feel more of that happiness. Because, as I said, happiness comes from God, and sin puts a barrier between you and God. So if you remove that barrier, you will be able to feel that true happiness even more than you are now. So wherever you're at now, whatever you're doing, whatever sins you've committed, put that all aside and simply follow Christ more than you are now. And you will be happier. I promise you that. You will be happier. And I also promise you, you will never be truly happy in your sins. You will never truly be happy in your sins. So turn away from them and turn to God. All right, thank you for being here for this video. And my next video that'll come out will finally be my part 3 in my faith series. So look forward to that. And in the meantime, go out there and do some good.